As the metaverse is becoming more and more talked about, it's time to start thinking about the ethical issues that the metaverse will bring. ZDNet's Tiernan Ray is here with me, Beth Motter, to help break this down. Tiernan, tell me why we should even be thinking about ethical issues for something that isn't yet created. It's not real, it does not exist.
It's a really good question, Beth. In some senses, the metaverse that Mark Zuckerberg has proposed is what you call vaporware. It's not there in any form. We have Oculus Quest 2, or the virtual reality goggles that Facebook sells, but most people are not doing anything like virtual reality at the moment. However, the time to establish what your fundamental rights are is now, and we have a blueprint for this in the Human Rights Declaration of the United Nations, which was ratified 73 years ago as of December 10th. And this gives you certain inalienable rights. And the important thing about thinking about this now is you don't want to wait till you're inside of some kind of simulated environment built by a corporation to say, hey, wait a minute, I think that I have a right to form a family. I think I have a right to be a citizen. I think I have a right to move as a citizen from one place, let's say, call it a country in a metaverse, to another place that's also a country. I have the right to seek asylum in whatever form that might take in a metaverse. I have the right to own property. So long before a corporation, any corporation, be it Twitter, be it Meta, be it Pinterest, Snap, anything that would come along and say these are your abilities in a virtual world, it's really important to assert what you would want to do, especially if you're going to be spending more and more of your time in some kind of simulated environment. It's an extension of your life.
We've all heard of cancel culture, and people love it, people hate it, people are meh about it. But that is going to be taken a step further in a universe where you have absolutely no control of what's going on.
That's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, Beth. You have a right as a human being, according to the United Nations, not to be exiled. You cannot be exiled from a place. And so you could think of exile as the equivalent of some elements of cancel culture. We know that people have been banned from social media services, for example. And regardless of what you think of those individuals in real life, there are ways that civilized society finds to address, let's say, behavior of individuals without stepping over the line and exiling people. And so a metaverse will have to reconcile with this issue that you cannot simply de-exist people who some people don't agree with or don't like, or whose behavior they find offensive. And so what is going to be the equivalent of not de-existing or dematerializing people in the metaverse is a really, really complex issue. And you don't want to leave it to some single entity to have sole authority over who gets to exist in a virtual form and what form it might take to exile them from some virtual world. So that's a really important, complex kind of notion to start thinking about long before people are doing this.
Okay, so before we wrap up, what do we need to do about this? How do we move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question, Beth. There's a technological approach that is already in effect in some regards, which is we all use the internet, and no government controls the internet and no corporation controls the internet. Parties that are both public parties and corporations participate in its building and its maintenance, but no one owns the internet. It's a collective coming together, hence the term internetwork. And so that technology has served well for the 50 years that it's been around. And arguably, you could continue what happens with the internet, and you could give every human being technologies that would allow them to control their data, and then in a virtual world to control the movement of their virtual limbs, their virtual eyesight. In a town hall meeting, they could have control over their virtual speech without being automatically shut down by the operator of the virtual world in which the virtual meeting is taking place. And so this would lead to an individual autonomy. So what we need is a personal protocol. We need an extension of how the internet functions, where nobody owns your data. You are in control of your data. Nobody's in control of your virtual body. You have bodily integrity, and you cooperate with others so that you don't infringe on their integrity and their autonomy as well. So it seems like there's a technological solution that is baked into the way that the internet functions already.
All right, Tiernan, there is so much to think about, even though the metaverse is only a talked about idea right now. It's not even in existence yet. But there are a lot of questions surrounding the technology and what it may become. As always, be sure to stick with ZDNet. We will cover everything metaverse, everything tech moving forward. We'll have the latest. Thanks so much for watching.